I want you guys to try something, okay? This is what I found extremely helpful. It took me years to figure it out, so I'm just going to drop it as quick as I can drop it. In my opinion, if you focus on anything too much, you will ruin it because you'll notice things that don't matter. So, what do I mean? I mean, if you put your face 2 inches from the Mona Lisa, what do you think you're going to notice? You may see a little place where the paper's maybe aging a little bit. You may see a place or two where there's a hole or a tear. You may see a place or two where there's an accidental stroke, a wrong color, something that doesn't make any sense. You may see that, okay? Zoom out 10 feet. What do you see? You see the Mona Lisa. What matters? The Mona Lisa matters. What doesn't matter? Those little bullshit tears, the little scratches, the little messed up strokes that you may think about once you zoom in and focus on it. Translate this to what you're doing. What matters is the first listen back. So I'll clear my head after I mix, then a day later, I'll listen to it, and then is it good? Because I'll know the first time. This is why people say they've worked all night on a mix, stressing 8 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours, whatever. They come in the next day and it's trash. It's trash because they thought they were zoomed out. They were never zoomed out. They were zoomed in so close that they couldn't see the picture. Whereas the day later, when you're fresh ears, you've listened to 6 other songs, you can then see the picture. So this is why I also stress a CLA premise, which is if you can set up your own sessions. I mean, if you don't set up your own sessions, you're way ahead of the game. In other words, if you could have anybody set it up for you, I'm not saying they have to do it. I'm saying you don't want to be the guy doing the setup, editing it, and mixing on the same day. Ideally, if you have to do that, you do it on a different day. You set up the session, you mix it, like in other words, you set it up, you do your editing, get rid of any ridiculous stuff, clicks, pops, any timing issues of anything, any vocal comping, any of that stuff. Separate day before you mix. And if you could put 2 days in between, because once you get that deep where you start editing everything like crazy, you're so deep in the perspective. You got to clear that out of your head. Then you can start. Once it's totally gone. If you are thinking in your head, the guitar solo, I hope it's not too low, or I hope this is, then it will be too low, or it will be wrong. And if you're thinking in your head, the S's are too sibilant on this mic, or my S's are always this way, then you're going to go in attacking things before they're even a problem. You will create a problem. So trust me when I tell you, the best mixers zoom in and zoom out. That's what they do. So if you're doing your own sessions, you have to give yourself the time to let it clear out of your head. Then you start, and when you're done mixing, okay, and then you let your head clear again. And I recommend taking taking breaks while you're mixing. Like, don't mix for more than an hour and a half, 2 hours without taking a little break. You got to clear your head for a few minutes just to be able to come back and hear everything. A flip side, something I'll do for this if I'm pressed for time, I have to mix really low all the time anyway, because I found once I bring in the room sound again, in other words, the speakers are playing, but they're almost like a distant thought because it's so low, you can really get the perspective on the mix again. Trust me when I tell you, you need to regain perspective the entire time because that's what you're doing. You're zooming in, you're zooming out, you're zooming in, you're zooming out. You're 2 inches from the canvas to fix something you don't like. You're zooming back out to where normal perspective is. And if you can't do that, then you're having a hard time mixing, I can guarantee you. So rather than that, do that thing like where you take a break, do the edit day separate from the day you're mixing, all right? And if you got to add, if when you listen to that first time when you're mixing, okay, and it's done mixed, you print your mix and you clear your head and then you listen that first time, I want you to think about it like this. The first time is your only listen. Now, that's pretty scary for some people. They may go, wow, I've always listened to my mixes 10, 20 times. I know. That's why you're never happy. Because you can make a problem out of anything. It's not just you, it's everyone. Our brains play tricks on us. Why do you think blind tests are so big in the audio world? Because we will convince ourselves of anything as soon as we're focused on it. If you don't realize this, you're going to have a hard time. So wrap this, understand what I'm saying. Wrap your head around it. It's really important. The first listen is all that matters. If you get a mix, if you're working with anyone and they mix for you, that first listen you have is your perspective. because you've never heard what they're going to do. You then listen, and whatever you find issues with that first listen are usually the real issues. The second, third, fourth, you're losing perspective already, and it's all over. Because you could literally zoom in and hear your voice and decide the S's are bad. And now the S's are bad, no matter if they are or not. Because you're focused on it, they're probably bad. You see what I'm saying? You'll decide the guitar solo is bad, and then it will be bad. But if that first listen, you were blown away, and you never thought about the guitar solo once, you got to realize that, man. Be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, you're never going to do this in a way that needs to be done. The way it needs to be done is being honest with yourself on the first listen. You know, I'll make notes the first listen, and that's all I worry about. That's it. Because I know after that, I could literally focus on the tambourine and ruin the whole mix. You know, you'll pick something inconsequential, you'll spend hours on it, it means nothing, and you might actually make it worse. More often than not, you'll make it worse. So I just want to give you guys this because it took me years to get here, to learn this, to be able to make mixes I'm happy with. And the way I do it is very simply not letting my brain trick me into thinking whatever's on my mind is what a problem is, because it's not the way it works. You got to trust your ears on the first listen. And whatever jars you is the issues, and what doesn't, they ain't issues. That's just what you decided to complain about that day in your brain and then put it into your work. And that's what it is. Because we're all this way. We all fluctuate. We're positive, we're negative. We're positive, we're negative. So that's just what happens. And we all have insecurities. And we also, like on your own work especially, if you play guitar, you'll have a tendency to make the guitar too loud. If you play bass, you'll have a tendency to make the bass too loud. These are facts. If you don't wrap your head around it, you'll never get good. So I'm just trying to hook you guys up with the real intel that people have a hard time doing. Everything that's hard is hard for a reason. Because if you can figure out on the first listen what's wrong, you will save yourself so much time, and you'll actually be able to correct the problems and the other things. Once you cleared your head again, you'll forget they were even a problem. Because you'll be able to develop problems on the second, third, fourth, fifth listen. Trust me, I could come up with 100 problems of everything. Every single thing. Why? Why would you want to? You're ruining your own songs. That's what you're doing. So rather than do that, first listen, that's it. Put a lot of emphasis on that first listen. And when the thing is done, whatever you think was a problem is a problem. But check me out. If you're thinking to yourself ahead of time, I got to make sure I remember, is the guitar solo too loud? I got to make sure. No, you're already screwed. Clear your head. Blank canvas, blank slate, blank. Then listen. Because be honest with yourself. If you have anything in your head ahead of time, you're going to focus on it, and then we don't know if it's a problem or not because you're focused on it. All right? Trust me. Trust me, guys. You got to believe this. I want to hear from people who do this, because honestly, if you guys start doing this, you will improve dramatically. All right? And you won't ruin your mixes. You'll be way happier. You'll have more time also, because this is how the people who know what the hell they're doing, this is what they do. They have the ability to zoom in and out. So they don't ever take that up 2 inch close to the canvas focus where they're 2 inches away and determining if stuff's good or bad. Because guess what? Up there, everything's bad. Don't go in looking for problems. And that's what you're doing by zooming in too much. You're going in looking for problems. Listen to it from an outside perspective. Then the problems come looking for you. That's what you want. They come looking for me, I'll fix them. If I'm looking for them, I could find 100 problems that ain't problems. You guys got this, all right? You seriously got this. If you got this, do me a favor. Take your problems, throw them out, and just slap your first listen right on that like button. Do me that solid. And also, on the subscribe button, do me a favor. You want more tips like this? Hit that thing up, all right? Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this.